Well, a couple years ago, Devin Lenz bit by a mosquito, took a nap. Now he's sick. Woke up a couple hours later, couldn't sit up or move his legs within days after rounds of tests. He's diagnosed with West Nile virus. He joins us now. Devin's thriving, but I mean, we want to go back to a couple years ago, and it's interesting to note. So you even took the precautions. Wait, you had insect repellent on?
I did. I was really good about putting bug spray on my arms and maybe over my ears and that kind of thing. What I didn't do as religiously as I should have was put it on my feet when I wore flip-flops. So all you viewers that might be out there putting bug spray on, don't forget your feet.
Because I mean, everybody does that.
I'm pretty sure that's where I was bitten.
We've got flip-flops on, you didn't spray, you get bit.
Yep.
So when did the effects begin to take
well,
hold?
The CDC says that the effects tend to take anywhere between 3 and 14 days to present themselves. So I'm not really sure when I was bitten.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not even 100% sure that I was bitten on the foot. I'm pretty sure that I was. So anytime between, mid to late August 2010, almost 2 years ago to the date.
Okay, so then a matter of days later.
Yes. Well, I mean, basically, I felt lethargic one night, went down, took a nap at around 7 p.m., woke up at around 10 and couldn't move my legs. Couldn't barely sit up. It was really difficult. The virus was actually, the paralysis starts in your legs, and it was working its way up through my torso at the time. So called 911 and went to the hospital, and which is where I stayed for almost 2.5 months. Not at one hospital, 3 different hospitals.
So what happened? So then they've got to move fast because it's moving in your body.
Yes, what they did is they did a spinal tap and sent the spinal fluid out for analysis, and 3 days after the spinal tap, the results came back positive for West Nile virus. They can actually see the virus with an electron microscope. So there was a 3 to 4 day period where, I was intubated, unconscious, sort of medically sedated, and my wife had no idea, and the doctor still didn't know. So it was like day 3 or 4 that they finally came back with the positive diagnosis for West Nile virus.
And you're young, strong guy. I mean, I think, a lot of people think it's going to be hit younger kids, elderly. Is your case abnormal?
Yes,
or it is?
It is. It's highly unusual. It tends to afflict people over 50, but it does afflict people that are healthy and young from time to time, and they really don't know why. And because of the nature of the illness being somewhat rare, the reaction to the virus being this severe is rare, there is a limited amount of data on patients like myself. So there's nothing that they can really do to treat the virus itself. They treat the symptoms while they have you in the hospital, and if it gets to the point to where you're actually paralyzed by it, then you go into the rehab phase of your hospitalization, and that was kind of a revelation for me, that phase of it.
Right. Tell us about your progress over the last couple of years.
It's been great. I mean, there's an emotional or psychological paralysis that can come about with physical paralysis. So you have to kind of learn how to reevaluate, adjust, your mood and your self-perception along with trying to recover muscle mobility and things like that. I'm regaining a little bit of activity in my muscles and my legs. The progress is very slow. Nerves take a long time to regenerate. But overall, the experience in being part of the disabled community, the experience that I had at the Shepherd Center here in Atlanta, learning how to live a rewarding life in the new normal, in a wheelchair, you can't help but develop a certain new identity, and I've been exposed to a lot of inspirational people. I like to say that I sit on the shoulders of giants because throughout history there have been people that have done amazing things with disabilities, and you can't help but be down to earth to a certain extent, both literally and figuratively, when you become disabled. So
tell us about the roller coaster of emotions. I'm sure, I mean, you're upbeat now. You've got a message to tell. I'm sure it's been, though, highs and lows.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Initially, I mean, I didn't even want to have visitors. I had all this incredible support when I was in the hospital, friends coming constantly, family members. And initially, when I was on the trach, when I was on a ventilator, when I had a trach, excuse me, I would just send my visitors away. I couldn't even cope with the presence of loved ones. That's how depressed and dissociative I'd become. But once I got off the ventilator and weaned off and regained the ability to breathe on my own and went into rehab, I slowly started to come around. And that was primarily because of the people that I was around at the Shepherd Center. It's one of the foremost rehabilitation hospitals for spinal cord and brain injuries, not only in the country, but in the world.
They do great work.
And yeah, so you're around people that are peer support specialists.
Was there one person, one thing said that turned you, and that was the launching point for just a more positive outlook?
Yeah. A woman by the name of Mina Hong, who radiates enthusiasm. She's been in a wheelchair a long time. She was conducting a class on, the class is actually called Been There, Done That. So it's a class conducted by a person who's been in a wheelchair for a long time, talking to people that are new to this experience. And she is so funny and so endearing and ebullient, just effervescent. And she said that when she was first injured, that she didn't leave the house for 2 years, that she couldn't cope for that long. And for me to sit there and look at someone who presented such self-actualization, such a well-adjusted, great lady, to confide that to me, it really resonated. I thought, okay, well, maybe, you know, there is a light at the end of this tunnel. If she can do it, I can do it. And then, you know, you start to think about all the other incredible role models that you have. My biggest one is FDR. You know, he was the leader of the free world who helped defeat the Axis powers. If that guy can rise to that occasion, then anybody can. I like to paraphrase, you know, one of his quotations from his speeches, and I like to say that, you know, ask not what your disability has done to you, but ask what you can do with your disability. You can learn how to make this seemingly negative situation positive.